Hello and a warm welcome to World This Week by Latest Laws. This is a weekly program, so hit the bell icon to get notifications for new videos. My name is Vasvi Bhatia and let's begin with Supreme Court this week.
The Supreme Court dismissed a petition of an advocate seeking its intervention to direct the centre to take action against China for allegedly using COVID-19 as a biological weapon and intentionally spreading it across the world. The apex court said the word dowry ought to be given a wider interpretation to include any demand made on a woman, whether in respect of a property or a valuable security of any nature, and held that demand for money for constructing a house comes within the ambit of dowry. The Supreme Court reserved orders on the future course of the multi-layered litigations between Biani Group's future coupons and cash-starved future retails, the latter managing to stay afloat with a promised Rs 25,000 crore deal with Reliance Industries on one hand and the trillion-dollar multinational retail company Amazon on the other. The apex court pulled up government of Gujarat for not challenging bail granted to an accused who had beaten a Dalit to death in 2018 in Rajkot district, saying it failed to protect the rights of the victim and set aside the High Court order 2.5 years later after bail was granted. The Supreme Court has expressed concern over eroding trust between key institutions while hearing a case of extortion against former Mumbai Police Chief Param Singh. In the last hearing, the Supreme Court said that the former top cop can't be arrested in criminal cases filed against him until further orders. The court said the protection would continue. The Supreme Court frowned on the recent trend of the police raiding lawyers and taking arrested persons outside the territorial jurisdiction of the local court to prevent them from availing their judicial remedies. The Delhi High Court allowed a 28-week pregnant woman, which is beyond the permissible period of 24 weeks, as prescribed under the Medical Termination Act, to proceed with the medical termination of her pregnancy owing to a substantial fetal abnormality. The High Court of Delhi refused to entertain a public interest litigation against Delhi government's full-size front-page advertisement wishing Christmas to the citizens in almost all the mainstream newspapers across the country. Petitioners sought direction to restrain the government of NCT Delhi and Directorate of Information and Publicity from using public funds on government advertisements which are allegedly primarily intended to project the individual functionaries of the government. Next we have the Bombay High Court. The Bombay High Court, while disposing of a bail application dealing with the imposition of a fine of 25 lakhs as a precondition for the grant of bail, remarked that imposing a precondition to pay a sum of money for being released on bail is unreasonable. Consent for sexual intercourse provided under the misconception of fact can't be considered a free one. The Nagpur bench of Bombay High Court ruled while rejecting a man's complaint for quashing an FIR for rape against him. Police lodged charges against a man on a complaint filed by his ex-fiancée after being deserted by him. She charged the Bandra man of establishing physical contact with her at a jungle resort on the promise of marrying her soon. The Bombay High Court has ruled that an aggrieved person, as defined under the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act, must be alive at the time of filing the petition. Someone else cannot file the application for monetary reliefs under the Act after her demise. Next we have the Madras High Court, confirming the death sentence imposed by the trial court on a man for rape and murder of a 7-year-old girl belonging to a scheduled caste community in Pudukkottai district. Madras High Court observed that when the attitude of a man turns into that of a beast having no mercy over other creatures, he should be punished and sent to the eternal world. Next we have the Punjab and Haryana High Court. The High Court of Punjab and Haryana has made it clear that appointment on a compassionate basis was not an alternate source of recruitment. The bench also made it clear that consideration for such employment was not a vested right, which could be exercised at any time in the future. Next we have the Himachal Pradesh and Shimla High Court. The division bench of High Court of Himachal Pradesh, Shimla, opined that they cannot hold a plea tenable for the simple reason that the petitioner has approached this court well within time and has been pursuing this case with due diligence. Next we have the Allahabad High Court. The Allahabad High Court, while dealing with a criminal appeal against a murder conviction where no independent witnesses were examined or produced, noted strictly that such a lapse on the part of the investigation agency must be viewed seriously by the courts of law, and time is not far when the courts may have to invoke the suo motu powers to summon such witnesses for which there ought to exist a witness protection law. Next, we have the Uttarakhand High Court. The Uttarakhand High Court has stayed the new mining rules notified by the state government on October 28th last year. The court has also issued notices to state government, Director Geology and Mining Unit under Industries Department, District Mining Officer Nainital and Subdivisional Magistrate Nainital. The respondents have been directed to reply to the notices within 4 weeks. Next, we have the Jharkhand High Court. The Jharkhand High Court pulled up Rajendra Institute of Medical Sciences, Ranchi, and the government for their failure to install a genome sequencing machine in the state-run hospital. The court, in a verbal observation, said that the state-run hospital and the government will only wake up from their slumber when the people of the state reach the cremation ground. Next, we have the Tripura High Court. The Tripura High Court, taking note of the fact that an inquiry in the matter has been concluded and related reports have already been submitted before the court, gave liberty to the state government to give suitable postings to IAS Dr. Sailesh Kumar Yadav, who had raided 2 wedding halls in Agartala as a district magistrate in April 2021 for violating the night curfew and other standard operating procedures enforced to curb the COVID-19 spread. Next, we have miscellaneous news. The National Human Rights Commission has called for an additional and complete report from the Superintendent of Police, Betul, by January 29th in connection with a plea filed in CJM Court, Betul, under Section 239 of CRPC. The Supreme Court Bar Association said it will hold a candle march at the Rajpath here to raise several grievances, including non-consideration of its members' names for elevation as judges in various high courts. Next, we have the international news. Social media giant Facebook, known as Meta Platforms, faces a £2.3 billion plus a class action in Britain over allegations that it abused its market dominance by exploiting the personal data of 44 million users. A Canadian court has halved the sentence of a woman who killed her husband, revisiting a controversial case that revealed the legal system's outdated thinking on the realities of domestic abuse. In a 2-1 ruling released, Alberta's Court of Appeal determined that Nellin Naslin's 18-year-old sentence should be reduced to 9 years. Thank you and have a nice day. This is a weekly program. To get more information, check the description box, and to get weekly updates, like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.